Hello and welcome to An Idle Called Food. I am your host, JT Tapias, and today we're going to be speaking about tiny changes that produce remarkable results. Before I jump in, I want to speak with you about EYBPlantFuel.com, supplements that make a significant difference in how you show up in your day-to-day. If you're ready to start your fitness journey, you need to have your macronutrients balanced, but you also need to have your micronutrients balance. Go to EYBPlantFuel.com. Get your journey started today. Let's jump right into this very interesting subject that I have for you today. And I want to speak with you about a common denominator, something that I hear all the time with people that come on my program. And initially, here's what they say. I need the accountability. I certainly need the nuggets when it comes to the dynamics because I've tried all these different nutrition programs, all these diets. They work for a little bit, but they're not sustainable. And I think, to an extent, I'm guilty of that. When I ask the question why, what I usually hear is, I did it for a little while, but then I got lazy and I lacked discipline. And as a byproduct of that, I put all the weight back on. I'm frustrated. I'm ready to do this right this time. And so I follow up with the next question, which is, well, why did you pick our program? And in our discovery call, we make it so incredibly clear that dynamics, rules, guidelines have never changed anyone. We can see the A, B, and C, follow it for a little while, but ultimately what creates the change is the actual conviction, more importantly, being able to change your identity around the particular thing that you're doing. And because we know behavior shifts identity, we are huge in implementing systems that allow you to show up like a super disciplined person. I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record, but I'll say it again. I don't believe people are genetically predisposed to discipline. I simply believe that those that are winning at a high level, those high functioning human beings that show up every single day to the gym, every single day, or Monday through Friday, eat well, I believe those people have systems in place that allow them to show up like a very disciplined person. So in essence, being disciplined is not necessarily being this person that is born a certain way, or you happen to be this way, or maybe you went to the military and you learned to be disciplined. I think those things help, but I think ultimately the thing that makes all the difference is having a system. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, has a saying that I absolutely love, and I love it because I believe in the efficiency of the saying. And he says that you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. In other words, you can have the loftiest goals, but if you don't have the systems in place to back that up, you're going to fall flat on your face and you're going to be very disappointed. So one of the things that we focus on heavily inside of the Empty Your Bucket Nutrition Plan is this whole idea that 80% of your results are going to come through proper nutrition, sure. But 80% of those strategies are cognitive strategies. So let me touch on that first. You can't change your habits without changing your mind. You have to understand that food and your cognitive processes are so incredibly connected because of all the emotional anchors that are around food. We have food around our family, our loved ones, holidays, and all these things create emotional anchors. So in order for us to change what is on the plate, we need to change what is in between our ears first, and that is our mind. And so it's a systematic approach between habits, cognition, and then dynamics. Without these three approaches, you're going to get some results, but you're always going to end up disappointed. So we can make tiny changes and have remarkable results by simply shifting what we do on a daily basis, because we are an accumulation of the things that we do every single day. If every single day you make bad choices at lunchtime, then most likely you're going to be overweight. If most days you decide to not sit in front of the television, but instead go for a walk or go for a jog, most likely you're going to be a fit person. I know these things are all common sense, but hear me out. They're common sense, but then my question is, why aren't most people applying them? And this is the next point I want to make here. It's not that we're lazy. It's simply that our behavior, right, has shifted our identity. We get off of work, we get tired, we create these patterns. You either have a glass of wine to wind down, or you sit in front of a television with some chips. And that just compounds day after day after day after day, hence the reason we get in trouble. So the question is, How do I break those patterns? How do I shift into that better version of myself? How do I become more disciplined? How do I create strategies? Great question. Here's what I would say. People that come onto our program, the very first thing we do is we actually show them what they're up against. And this is not some external thing. We actually show them how they're thinking, because these thought processes are reiterations for everyone. I mean, everyone that is stuck, that is 15, 25, 100 pounds overweight, has very similar thought patterns. Hence the reason they are looking the way they're looking, carrying the weight they're carrying. Maybe you're feeling sick. Maybe maybe you're lethargic. All these things come from the same thought patterns. So when we're able to identify that, when we're able to see food, not just as food, but as this mitigation tool that most people use in order to mitigate emotions, then we start to realize, hey, this goes beyond food. I'm dependent on food. I have this emotional crutch called food. For a lot of people, that puts fire in their belly, and it's enough to move them forward to break those patterns. For other people, it's just systematically implementing things with alarms, with follow-throughs, with hyper accountability, with check-ins on Saturdays, with touch points on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And it's that friction of the accountability that oftentimes pushes people over the edge to actually execute on those particular strategies. And then 90 days later, voila, 25, 30, 50 pounds down. Not because what we're teaching is earth-shattering, because I believe everything under the sun has already been invented, but instead because of the approach. The approach is a cognitive approach. Initially, we have to renew our mind, not be conformed to what everyone else is doing, but instead be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So the cognitive aspect, the thought process, is the first one that needs to change, because we're cognitive human beings. We think, we feel, and we act. So changing the way we view food impacts emotions. Emotions impact actions. If those actions are good, you create good habits. If you create good habits, you create a good character. And from there on out, you can have a good life, right? This implementation happens in 90 days. It doesn't take a year. It doesn't take 6 months, right? Like most diets out there are telling you, they're guaranteeing, 20 pounds in 6 months. We're seeing people lose 25 and 50 pounds in 90 days, okay? And not just taking the weight off, but actually keeping it off. So I'm here to say that there's hope on the other side. If you have pegged yourself as an undisciplined person, I would tell you to think otherwise. I would say that it's not that you're undisciplined. It's just that you haven't taken the time to strategically plan what you're looking for. You haven't found the right accountability. But when you do that, you can make tiny changes that can have remarkable results in your life. So there's hope on the other side. If you're already on that health journey, if you've already hired a coach, awesome. You've already taken a step of faith, a leap of faith in the right direction. If you're not there yet and you're trying to figure out who the right coach is, go to emptyyourbucketplan.com, schedule a free discovery call. We'll walk you through the entire process. We'll show you A through Z on how you can get in the absolute best shape of your life. More importantly, how to keep it off forever and never struggle with this again. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode on tiny changes can have remarkable results on your life. My name is JT Tapias with An Idol Called Food. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.